It is the regular meeting of the Town of Dayton Open Space Committee. Today's Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. It is currently 5:33 p.m. We're meeting in the Primetime Building Conference Room at 1059 Somerset Avenue in Dayton, Massachusetts. You can join the Zoom meeting with ID number 852-3994-1073 with passcode 123722 or by dialing in at area code 646-931-3860. This meeting is being recorded. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, let's do a roll call. We're starting with Mr. Gale, please.
Jonathan Gale, and I'm also the ADA coordinator for the town.
Good evening, Leonard Hull.
Danica Belknap.
And Robert Gear, committee chair. Is there any entertainment on the floor to set our next meeting date at December 4th, 5:30 p.m., meeting at the Primetime Building?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the next meeting of the Open Space Committee will be Wednesday, December 4th at 5:30 p.m. at the Primetime Building.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Jonathan Gale, aye.
Leonard Hull, aye.
Danica Belknap, aye.
Robert Gear, aye. This time we'll open for any public input. Having seen none, we will move on to old business. All right. Discuss and act on action item number 23. We believe that we are continuing this conversation. I did want to get it on the slate so that if the subcommittee had any updates, they could so chime in if they like, or have the floor.
Any subcommittee?
Yeah.
Okay, I did speak to, this is Jonathan, and just with regard to our cleanup day briefly, I had a conversation with our president and vice president, if you will, of our local Lions Club. We were just talking in general about something else. And I brought up the cleanup day in April. And number one, Lions Club members would like to be involved, which is great. You know, there's 56 members of the Lions Club in town. There's only a small number that do a lot of the heavy duty lifting. But if they'd like to be involved, that's just another organization to add to the list, which is great. And also, we talked about if nobody has an objection, I'm gonna put a small proposal together for like a $250 donation from the Lions Club to support the cleanup, so that if we need to, we can use that towards refreshments or gloves or things like that.
Awesome.
And I'd like to be able to do that and then bring it to the attention of the Lions Club, if not at their December meeting, because I may be out of town, then at their January meeting. And I'd like to know if anybody has an objection to that.
And just for the record, would those be personal funds?
I'm sorry?
Would those be personal funds that you're donating?
No, this would be a donation from the Lions Club.
Donating to the open.
Right, I would write this up to be asking the, excuse me, to be asking the Lions Club to make a donation of $250 or $300 to the Open Space Committee for the purpose specifically of supporting the cleanup that we're going to have in April by providing potentially refreshments, gloves, anything that can't be provided by the town already. And because we don't have a budget and because we are not a standing committee, that a requirement of the town, we can ask for a donation.
We cannot, is that clear? Cannot?
Can.
Can.
Yeah. To support it in specific, and this is to support a specific project, so we can do that. So I would write the I can come back at our next meeting with the write-up of what I'm gonna be asking for, so that everybody can see the draft before I go ahead and put forth the request to Lions members in January.
So if the Open Space Committee subcommittee specifically were to approach the Lions Club and solicit donations, where does that check get written to?
It would be written to the town of Dayton, and then under in the memo section, they would put for open space cleanup.
Does the town need to be notified that those funds could be coming their way?
No. They do not.
So how do we know they get,
In effect, it's an earmark,
how do we know they get appropriated properly?
because that's why they donate
Well,
specifically.
no, I don't know that those two ends connect, Mr. Gale. Mr. Holt?
My concern is if we do a check, who cashes it? Who has the authority to cash that check?
Agreed.
And we don't have a fiduciary officer.
Could you speak up, please?
My concern is this board does not have a fiduciary officer, nor does it have fiduciary authorization from the town, the Board of Selectmen specifically, or the auditor, accountant, if you will.
It's,
So I think we need to sit down with Serena and discuss if this is even at all possible to do it in that format.
Could we instead ask them to donate the supplies, like
Well,
rather
that's
than
the
just
other,
giving us cash?
that was the other thought, was that, yes, after hearing what everyone has said and thinking about that quickly, I agree with you potentially, as to ask them to make a donation of product or supplies.
an in-kind donation rather than a
Donation up
financial.
to X amount of dollars. Yes, if we tell them what we need. So whether it's coffee, donuts, sandwiches, subs, gloves, drinks, whatever. If they can do that as an in-kind donation and provide product up to X amount of dollars. If nobody has any objection, what I can do also, and then go back through the chair, is reach out to Serena and see if we're allowed to accept a check or not, and if not, we won't. Then
But I thought you had just stated we could.
it's my understanding that we can, but I'm going on what Mr. Hull just said.
Okay, so let's go ahead and conclude the conversation right now about the donation because we don't have facts on the table. Let's get some facts and revisit it.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you. All right.
So let me do that.
What about number 23? What else do we want to discuss? What else is there? All right.
Is the date that we picked out, like, is the town aware of that and everybody's on board for
I'm sorry?
the date that we
date.
discussed last time? Is the town aware, and all the other groups, like the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, are they all
Yes,
on board?
yes, they're all on board. They know that my plan next week, because I wanted to get through some other things that were going on that everybody was tied up with, is to put together a Zoom meeting next week and bring everyone together so that we can, confirm the date that we talked about and the role that the different organizations are gonna play.
So when you say everyone, can you elaborate? Who is everyone?
That would be obviously us and our subcommittee. That would be Tom Ferry, for what they can do and provide as well. That would also be Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the Dayton baseball folks, the basketball league, all of the different organizations in town who we can potentially, put together on a list. I've spoken to DBSL, I've spoken to them for baseball person, the softball person, the folks who run the basketball league, the junior league in town as well. I've spoken to Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts already, again. They're all willing to participate, and I'm gonna reach out to some of the other organizations in town, some of the local clubs in town as well, the adult types of clubs,
Okay. So
see if they wanna be part of this process as well.
So let me back up real quick, because what I didn't hear in there is that we have the selectmen's approval yet. And we need to get that.
For our town cleanup, we do not need the selectmen's approval.
We need their buy-in. We need to let them know. We need-
Absolutely.
That I agree with, we don't need their approval.
But here's the thing is, on August 7th, the subcommittee was started to, let me remind everybody, to set the date, acquire bags for cleanup, get approval from highway, advertisement, and selectmen's approval, period. I just want to say that it sounds like we've gone into fundraising efforts, we've gone into recruiting efforts. The subcommittee needs to remember what its purpose is tonight, that they're here to set a date, they're to get bags for a cleanup, to get approval from a highway, advertisement, and seek the selectmen's approval. That's where we're at with that right now.
We did tentatively, I think, at our last meeting, set the April dates.
We did, but we need to get with,
I'm happy to,
we have to, I can, you can. Here's the thing is, somebody's gotta do it. We have to include the town in what we're doing. We're not a standalone.
if you have
situation.
no objection, Mr. Chairman, I will draft an email tomorrow and send it over to Karen and Leanne and ask them to put this on the next agenda for the Board of Selectmen, and I will ask the Board of Selectmen, I'll inform them of what we're doing. I don't think they need to vote on it, but I will inform them and ask them for their blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. Ask them if there's any
I believe they meet
discussion.
next week, so if they can get it on next week's agenda, I will appear.
Well, let's not push it because of special town meeting. Be
Oh, that's
mindful
right.
of that.
That's
Yeah, we don't need
No
to.
rush.
There's no rush. This is next April. We-
I'll just have, it'll be 2 weeks after that. I'll have to put it on the agenda.
But we appreciate the enthusiasm behind you. We can hear it in your voice. We're getting there. We gotta do
But
things.
that's a fair point, but you made.
We just gotta do things, we just gotta get everybody's buy-in, and we don't wanna tell them what we're doing. We want to ask them if they would like to participate in the discussion that evening, because we want them to remind us any laws that we need to be mindful of. We want the selectmen and select peoples to let us know, don't forget X, Y, and Z, because that's their job.
I will,
We gotta give them that opportunity. Then, when we have that all signed, sealed, and delivered, then I would really like to revisit the conversation about all of the people you'd like to advertise to and get their buy-in.
okay.
But I think we need to be careful about getting and making sure it is an advertisement at this point, because we need to be careful of what we do in terms of recruiting and our authority in this town, that we remember we don't have any. Okay?
I will put that on the.
We have to remember, we are just volunteers here, you
So
know,
noted.
and we get to have a good time doing it. Let's not
So
forget
noted,
that.
and
Okay.
I'll follow through.
All right, I'll move on. Thank you for my soapbox. What did you say that night? You said, the pontification.
No,
What's
no,
the word you used?
No worries.
All right, is there any more discussion on number 23 tonight?
No.
All right, no more discussion on the table. Is there a motion to table discussion, item number 23 to our next meeting, which will be December 4th?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to table item number 23 into our meeting on December 4th.
Okay.
I'll second that.
The only discussion I have is the only thing we really need to know is if we had a chance to get on the docket for the next BOS, whenever that is. That's
Yeah.
really the only bullet point we need to be mindful of.
I got it.
Cool. Sorry, just making sure we say it, because,
got it.
you know, I just want to be good. All right, next up then, we need to vote. Is there a, all in favor?
Jonathan, I.
Leonard Hall, aye.
Danica Belknap, aye.
Barbara Gears and I. All right, next on our agenda is number 16. Just a reminder of what that is to develop community education programs and materials to promote conservation and environmental awareness, as well as opportunities for stewardship. I know we had a lot of good conversation last month about it, the pamphlet that we found in Town Hall. Is there any other discussion at the time?
I'd like to work with somebody putting together some material.
I think we discussed forming a subcommittee specifically for that. And we,
Do we want to look into a donation or a sponsor for the flyer, especially if money gets tight based on the vote of yesterday?
would say-
money's always tight.
I would say,
Yes,
Mr. Hall, that before we even look at a donation, we need to put something together to have to, we can do it simultaneously, but to potentially to, you know,
but preceding that, let's see what we can do with money to begin with, what our role is in that, or where we need to either channel it to or get in kind, right? So that way we can stay above table.
yeah.
I mean, I'm good with that. Yeah.
So as a committee, do we have access to the town, like, will they print stuff for us, like,
They,
or can we not, do we don't
well,
have?
they don't have the ability to print a trifold like that.
Yeah,
We do have the potential, and I know Stormwater uses Bristol Plymouth. DR is a possibility. Nancy has used
Could you speak up, Mr. Hall?
Nancy has used BP for quite a long time,
Mhm.
so it's been BP that she goes to. I don't know
and do they
where
have to pay for those?
conservation went. They pay, Stormwater has a budget,
Yeah,
they pay for materials.
So that would be the flip side is to is to get on the budget, propose a budget or figure out what we need to do to get a line item proposed and, voted on by the next town meeting. If we had a $200 printing budget for educational materials, et cetera, fill in the blank, Does that feel good to the committee? Does that seem, no, okay?
Well, no, because
I know money's
anticipate-
tight, yes.
Yeah, but
I mean, even a $50 budget is more than zero.
I would rather pursue asking the town how we could possibly get donations and how we could work with that, or sponsors, if you will.
Yeah.
I also have.
Path of least resistance.
I will also say I have, the printing system that I have at home is an industrial sized system because of what I have to produce sometimes. And I've got very heavy stock paper, and I think it produces like 100 pages per minute if I need it. And if we had set it up to be a trifold in the format that we did it and we printed it that way, theoretically, we can fold it ourselves. But I can provide the paper and the printer.
I mean, theoretically, we could all sit here and fold trifolds for an hour at the
Yeah,
next meeting if that's on the agenda, if that's what we, but it
But
wouldn't
I'm
make
just-
us
if
feel.
but you know what I'm saying, if that will keep, if that means we don't have to worry about cost.
So then essentially a local consulting agency known as would donate,
We donate a
Yes.
couple hundred copies.
okay. And so let's, at this point, it sounds like we're kind of getting into a situation where our actions are warranting some backing, whether it's in kind or it's labor. And I mean by that is you're gonna need people to pick up the trash on the trash day.
Yeah.
And we're gonna try and supplement that and increase involvement by having another donation from an outside agency that provides beverages and snacks. Fill in the blank as an example, is that
Yeah.
correct? Do we understand that? Is that, oh, I understand, okay. I think that we kind of are in a situation now where we're getting active enough to start figuring out how this would work for us. Do we agree?
Yes.
Yeah. Sir? Mr. Hall, sorry, Mr. Gale, you agree?
I do agree,
Okay.
and that takes us, I think, we all know we're a volunteer committee, and in order for us to survive
Yeah,
and do the things that we wanna do, we're gonna have to be creative. And this is being creative.
I agree. I think we're here.
And I think that so this takes us back to where we started with this particular item, which is a subcommittee to put something together.
Yeah,
That is a trifold, with bullets, at least. I'm happy to work on it with somebody.
I mean, we can work on it. It's just, actually the receivership is we just have to be careful not crossing that line. As long as we agree that that's okay, right? I mean, we can design all we want. We can design to the moon. It's actually receiving and distributing we have to be careful with and know that we follow
Yeah,
the law that way.
And that would also probably be something, especially if we're gonna be talking about things related to our town for open space or environmental safety or environmental controls or whatever we might put in
Whatever
there,
we want it.
then that is something I would say we would probably wanna run through the boss again,
So then how,
at least for their tacit
The
approval.
town administrator.
Yeah, the TA, and then probably also potentially, because it's something like that, we may have to go through town council to make sure we're not putting anything in there that could leave us or the town vulnerable.
correct, and that's kind of how I felt those questionnaires might leave us vulnerable last time.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do with the information we get now that we know it?
Right.
The more you know, the more you know.
That's right.
And it is public record.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure we don't set ourselves up to be the arbiters of everybody's affair.
The other thing, I heard the word conservation, and I think just keep peace in the family. We reach out to them to review what information we're thinking of putting into it.
So I'm kind of taking notes on the side here, everybody, about what we kind of are, the tasks at hand. With this trifold, I believe that we talked about design. I believe we talked about also, there may have been a step in there, and then we talked about getting Board of Selectmen's buy-in on that, and approval. Was that an approval? We used that word, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, I did, yeah.
for that one, yes.
Okay, for that. What was the other thing we talked about? Concom, correct? Getting their buy-in?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm tracking all this, because this subcommittee that Mr. Gale and I are going to form, I'm going to propose at the end of this discussion that we are then responsible for those action items. Is mine, if there would be a motion on the floor to entertain such so here we go. What else would we think at this point in time? Oh, so the design, the board of, I know what we missed. We missed the receivership, the most important part, the receivership of the materials, of actual hard materials. Okay. Period. How's everybody thinking so far? Good. All right.
So far, so good.
Okay. So we're talking about design, the receivership, Board of Selectmen approval, and also Conservation Commission, make sure we're like good in the sandbox.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Good neighbors.
So photos, will we be putting any photos in there?
Okay, so design, and then we'll also look at clip art slash, that's an old fashioned word, clip art slash any
Graphics.
photo, yeah, or collateral.
What about, is something that we might do with this pamphlet to share like a map or a listing of like open spaces to visit? And if so, would we want to coordinate with the rec commission?
It's an
Parks
interesting
and Rec,
thought.
do you think they would be open to that? Do they already have something like that? Do we have like a map of,
Well,
I don't think so.
Well, how about this? Instead of leaving it to the subcommittee to talk about the design, why don't we branch off and kind of, because I've heard a little bit about that, where we're talking about list of open space, where we include some photography, right? What are some other things we would want to see on that flyer? Contact information for open space?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Could you elaborate a little more when you're talking about maps, what you mean, what you're thinking?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, like using it as, like talking about open spaces, like sharing, these are the open spaces in Dayton, and more specifically, like these are the open spaces that you could visit, like in terms of recreational.
So like trails, parks,
Yeah,
that's actually an
Any
interesting idea.
town-owned open space that's available to somebody to set foot on.
yeah.
That might make it a two-pager, but I think it's still okay, I like that idea.
If content is not a bad thing to have.
No,
Right.
no, and it's useful.
In this day and age, hey,
I
this day
mean,
and
we could
age.
have a map that's like a standalone, separate from the pamphlet, if it doesn't fit in the pamphlet.
Well, it can make it 2 pages, it's still,
I mean, can we do a front and back? Was that what you mean by 2
Yeah,
pages?
Yeah,
I'm thinking, well.
Or are you
it depends
thinking
on how much-
literally like 1,
I'm
2, 3,
thinking
4?
literally 2 pieces of paper.
Okay,
Because
okay,
that
well,
Oh,
becomes a
how
4-pager.
much, well, okay, so let's talk about the other content that we're sharing, because it sounds like a lot.
okay, so we have, I'm gonna do this, 1, 2, Mr. Gale, just so you know, I'm drawing a diagram of 2 trifolds.
Yep.
This is the front, this is the back, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So if the front would be, so this would be page 1, this would be the back, and then this would be the front right, and then this would be the middle, this would be the left, and this would be the right. So on the front, you'd have Open Space Committee, contact, and then maybe, I don't know, back would be the map, something like that, or the middle.
Mhm.
And then you could have bullet points of,
Pages 2 and, yeah, the front can be the,
Parks and Recreation activity, I mean, anything passive, open space,
physical open spaces.
yeah, I mean, this is just a concept.
And then it's what we want to include as open spaces. We
So,
want to include parks, we want to include ball fields, we want to include bicycle areas or hiking areas.
now, should we include the mission statement of open space in that?
absolutely.
That would be on the front, I would think.
So either on the front, or if you open up the trifold on the front, no,
Yeah.
yeah, on the front left, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, right here.
that's usually where you put that.
So this pamphlet is about like our committee and the purpose of our committee.
Right.
That's kind of the goal.
Yeah,
Because we're advertising at this point, correct?
yeah, and that's what the mission statement does, I think, too.
So I'm gonna pop onto our website. But what I mean by that is the Open Space Committee site on the town page real quick, just to see what information is available to anybody who might search for us that way real quick. That's okay with everybody? I'm just trying to be vocal about it, so Mr. Gale is aware as a committee what's going on in front of him. But what I'm looking for is just to kind of get maybe a template, an idea of, I mean, if we don't have to reinvent the wheel, sir, ma'am. Or the, they're disappointed. Thanks.
That's not-
So currently we have meeting dates, members, our mission statement, contact information, and a link to our open space rec plan. So maybe we take from that at least a plug for the open space and recreation plan PDF. So we'll just put that on the side and we can figure out where to plug that in somewhere.
And we would be probably using a couple of the bullets in there
Absolutely, absolutely.
as part of our,
I also see 1, 2, 3, 4 photographs that look fantastic on this plan. They're all outdoor space. It looks like or the Taunton River, I'm sorry, Bristol Agate, yeah, Taunton River. 2 Taunton River. That's right.
Rob, do you have you been trained on the website yet?
No,
Okay. So, yeah, you haven't been able to come in here. Oh, there is a mission here. Is this our current mission?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is the Conservation Commission, their pamphlet on here?
It may not be on there, but I believe I have it here, or, no, I'm sorry, I have stormwater pamphlet. So they've got the town symbol, so maybe we should include that, right, the town seal on the front,
Now
course.
that you're gonna need the approval of board,
to use that.
to use the town seal.
Okay. So then that board approval, okay, so that'll be, so 1 will be for the pamphlet itself. And 2 will be for the use of the seal. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hall. They've got a responsibility statement on the front, which includes, obviously, because they do have authority, they're enforcers, so they've got codes written, but I mean, we could just, I mean, it doesn't have to use the word responsible, because I think that's a little jagged edge to the community, 'cause we're volunteers still, but we are, enthusiastic about XYZ, right? And then so then the first page is what is stormwater runoff? I believe we said we want to put our mission statement there, and there's another photograph. And then it says, why is runoff a problem? We could convert that into, why is open space a priority?
makes sense.
Okay, I'm gonna actually just, what is open space? What is open space? Actually, we agreed on the mission statement here.
Well, I think the other thing is what is the big question is, what is open space?
So let's put that on the front. What is, instead of responsible for enforcing, what is open space?
Because that's, I think we want to
Yeah, what
define
we mean
that.
by open space.
Yeah, what is open space on
And
the
why is
front?
open space important?
Yeah,
Okay,
and you can break that up into 2 bullets on the front. What is open space and why it is important?
okay, perfect. And then give maybe like 2 little blurbs underneath that, like a little 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, good.
And we can work on that.
Why is open space a priority? Or why should it be a priority? So then in the center of so when you open it up, I'm giving a verbal, Mr. Gill, in the center, it says the effects of, pollution. So this is what, obviously, the detriment of having bad stormwater. So us of not, I guess if we want to go the route of what happens if we don't have open space. I don't know if we want to go that route, because we're not trying to threaten anybody.
No, it could be covered
But somebody who's not abiding by stormwater, I can see why they would say that, so.
Maybe that's where we put the map instead.
Yeah, let's just put a map
Okay.
in the middle for there. Okay, so this is the map, we'll put map.
I wanted to
Maps.
ask, just throw it out, and I don't know the best location. should we have the goals of open space? Specific goals, you know, to work with what agency to do X, Y, Z. Whether it be acquiring land for expanding of playgrounds or helping to acquire land for a border to the playgrounds or.
I think when we get there, we should, yeah,
Okay,
but I don't know that those are our action items in front of us right now.
okay.
Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I wouldn't put that in
Yeah.
a trifold. It's too controversial. I think.
Same reason why I wouldn't want to put, what happens if there's no open space? I think that's a
Yeah.
controversial topic.
Yes.
I don't want to go there.
I think we're opening a can of worms to put that in a trifold.
But I hear what he's
I don't disagree, it's a
saying.
discussion that has to be had.
When we get there, you think? Like, let's say we do get some momentum behind us and some community involvement and people understand that open space is here for the town, not, we're not self-serving. That,
After we've given them a trifold, we've done a cleanup, I guess I would say that would be an open discussion to have at one of our meetings and invite the public to a meeting to share in this conversation, once we get a little more known and once they know what we're doing,
Fair enough. Okay.
because at some point we want to be able to elicit input and involvement, that's part of our goal.
absolutely. So we're gonna put a map in the middle, then we have the right-hand side. This is a suggestion of ways to help prevent pollution. I guess ways you can contribute to open space.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be, pick up your pet waste, it could be.
Positive values to the community.
Yeah,
Well, we could just do a bullet, help keep our open space clean and environmentally friendly with like 5 things, pick up trash. Like that. 1, pick up trash, 2, pick up after your dogs, whatever.
environmental. At least, they call it
Like, I
curb
don't
your
know.
pet in major cities,
Yeah,
curb your pet, you've heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody looks at me like I was crazy when I said that the other day.
Oh god, I totally distracted me by
Sorry.
the curb your pet, curb your dog.
He was talking about help us keep our open space clean and environmentally friendly.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't know if there are general rules or like standards for using, like allowed uses and regulations for town open spaces, but we could put that there. If not, like, we can just do the general things you're saying, like pick up your trash, like leave
Yeah.
no trace, pick up after your dog. But I
That's
don't
a-
know if there's,
That's a
I
good
mean, I
point.
don't think there's anything like that, but if there were.
That's a good point, and you're right, I don't think that there is officially.
But like
But
another
in-
reason why we should coordinate with rec, maybe.
Is there anything, and I put this to the 3 of you, especially Danica, for you too, is there anything in here, if we did a trifold, that you can think of from the work you've been involved in, that we should have some bullets to, or a few bullets or a section dedicated to? That would be, you would consider as informational for people to know.
You mean like specifically what people should know about, like, responsibly recreating in open spaces?
Yeah,
We hit on most of them. Other things to think about are like uses at different sites, like are motorized, like ATVs or motorized bikes allowed on any properties, like.
Like do's and don'ts of open space?
Yeah.
So like,
and some of this, we could refer them to our website, which actually would give us a chance to make our website, the town's page here, more robust
yeah,
simultaneously. So I guess what I'm saying is, what I'm thinking of is that as much as we have the brochure, if we have the brochure up on our town's page, we can also, on the page at least, from the website, we can also interlock it with links for lists of, other types of things and more information.
Right,
And we can't do that in the trifold,
Right.
but we can make, in a way, we can use this to make our brochure on the page more interactive. If we really want to get creative. Just a thought.
Yeah, all good thoughts.
And if we need help with some of that, Leanne is really good at helping put this together.
okay.
Alrighty, well, I believe we've got some direction here.
So, Mr. Chairman, am I to take it that, do you and I, unless anybody else is able, are you and I heard you mention me earlier, are we, in essence, gonna be a subcommittee to work on content?
I believe that, unless there's any objection, I believe it's limited to the two of us, Mr. Gavin. You're stuck with me.
And vice
Yeah,
versa?
very well. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and is there a motion on the table to establish a subcommittee? For purposes of,
Will you share drafts with us too? We can all.
yeah, well, so that's what I was gonna say, it's like, so once we, yeah, okay, so then what I would like to do is, if we were to establish a subcommittee,
Yeah,
that those two subcommittee members would have a standalone project that would be responsible at this point for the design of this trifold, both sides at least, and then some other things, but within the design of this trifold, before anything got presented back to Board of Selectmen for final approval, this full committee
Oh, yes.
would have to have at least a majority vote on the pamphlet, yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Because, yeah, I wouldn't want the subcommittee to have a voice over the chair.
No. I agree, I think it needs to come back to the committee for review,
Absolutely.
potential changes, and final draft approval. Even before we send it to the Board of Selectmen for,
Yeah.
do you have? any-
Absolutely, I agree, yeah, I'm on board. Ma'am, are you,
Yes.
cool? Sir, good?
Mhm.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that a subcommittee be formed to include Jonathan Gale and Robert Gear for the purpose of developing an open space trifold, informational trifold.
Second,
Is there any discussion? I wonder if we want to include in that motion, if anybody wants to entertain the idea of including the thought as it pertains to action item number 16? We're clear?
that's
Okay,
fine.
you're good?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're good? Just want to make sure we're good, all right. So, all right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Jonathan, I.
Leonard Hull and I.
Danica Belknap, aye.
Robert Garrett, aye. All right, just making sure I cross all my Ts. Alrighty, so that said, with number 16, is there a motion on the floor to carry this item and put it on the next agenda? To table it to the next meeting, I should say. Is that too soon? What do you want to do?
I think it'd be too soon.
Okay, you want to do January? February?
I think January.
January, okay.
It gives you and I a chance to
Couple months.
circle back a few times.
Maybe even, yeah, let's do, well, at least we can put a draft together by
Yeah.
January, a hard draft, a first
Yeah,
draft.
if we can have a first draft to present in January, that gives us 2 months to do it.
Right.
And since we're gonna work 7 days a week on it, we should be able to do it.
24 hours a day.
You may be able, if you're looking for pictures, you may be able to reach out to Nancy Goulat because she creates her calendar and she does submissions. She asks the public to submit photos and she has a lot more photos than she has room for. So you might want to reach out to her and see if she has some photos of environmental scenes in Dayton.
The Taunton River Watershed Alliance also collects photos like that, and they probably have some from Dayton. Like the Taunton River, yeah.
You said Ms. Goulart?
Nancy Goulart, yes.
I can go out and take photos too.
Stormwater.
My husband's a photographer, I'll let him take.
Ooh, another in-kind donation. Look, we're
Yeah.
rolling in dough tonight. We just got rich tonight, guys. You know, look at this. The world is changing.
Wait, let me set expectations. He's not a professional photographer, he's a hobby photographer.
Oh, okay.
There's going to be a need for
But thank you for
financial,
volunteering.
Colin's holding her husband.
there's gonna be a real need for financial creativity in this town, very soon.
But that is the essence of community.
Yes.
That is the essence. Alrighty, guys. So I do believe we're in the middle. Did we vote? I'm sorry, did we
Yes,
move
we
it? We voted, okay, I'm sorry.
Yep.
So we're good to move on to 24? Am I in line? Am I right?
Did we vote? I know the
Yeah, we
motion was
did.
made.
The motion was made. Yeah, we all
Oh,
voted.
okay, all right, never mind.
And then we
Oh, no,
went
the
and talked about
tabling,
photographs.
the motion to table action item 16 to the January.
Oh, to January.
Oh, that's right, we were in
That
it.
part, you're right.
Yes, we were in a motion, okay.
So
Thank you.
moved.
So I'll agree.
Okay. And we just need to vote, is that what it is?
Yeah,
Okay, was there any discussion? I think we just had discussion. Not? Any?
That's correct.
Cool, all right. All in favor?
Jonathan, I.
Leonard Hull, aye.
Danica Belknap, aye.
Robert Ayers and I will see that item in January. All right, next up is number 24. Let's give everybody a quick reminder of what we're talking about. Is address environmental equity needs. I believe that this was something that we were gonna try and kind of cohabitate with some other committees. I think I could be wrong for putting this on the agenda tonight. I think I'm a little premature.
Yeah, I think we had talked about getting together.
Let me see what I did. Why did I put this on here? Hang on.
That got harder.
Oh, okay, here's why it came on this. I put it on here because we were supposed to revisit it in October. And I'm not sure if we got, let me just real quick make sure. 24 was the last action item. I don't know if we got to 24, guys, or if we just want to table it at this point. Because I think it's.
I thought we had decided to maybe table it because when you initially reached out to some of the other committees, we didn't get much like.
Reciprocation?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was the case, I know that was definitely the case with, an action item, I just wasn't sure if it was specific, and I didn't want to take it upon myself to whittle it if it needed to be presented, discussed. We just want to move, at this point, if it falls into the category of we'll muster some support along the way,
Well, I think,
we can't.
I think it, we don't need another subcommittee right now, we've got things we're doing, but I do think it's worth tabling until February or March with, and the caveat to that is, I think that we all need to come up with some suggestions or ideas for that February or March meeting to bring not just us to the table, but perhaps we bring us to the table. Do we want to bring
Any other interest?
any other interested parties, whether it's
Yeah.
planning, whether it's stormwater, whether it's, oh gosh, who am I thinking of? Conservation, thank you, Concom, to the table and have a discussion collectively. But if we're asking them to do that, I think that our committee can at least come up with the agenda items and put some ideas together, some talking points. To go hold a meeting without having, to go to these folks and say, let's have a meeting, what do you want to mean about, oh, well, here's the item, well, what do you mean? I think we at least need to think about having some talking points. So I would put it on the agenda for talking points.
So noted. Mr. Hall?
I will wait until we have a meeting to discuss talking points. I do have a concern. we live in a community that I know, having worked with one specific selectman, who was very concerned about the agricultural blueprint of this community, if you will, and where we're going to go with that in the future. And that, to some degree, impacts open space. With the ending of the agricultural subcommittee of the town of Dayton, I'm concerned that the discussion about agriculture, who do you turn to have? So I don't think it's appropriate to get into it tonight because it's not on the agenda, but when we talk about bringing groups, see how we can develop certain aspects of the community and the land in the community, I'd like to have that discussion about where agriculture fits in. And is it something that we can't help private farmers, or is, you know, a public-private partnership? Or is that something that is beyond our scope? And maybe the board will say, look, that's not for us to deal with.
I think that's part of what I was thinking about when I was saying that we need to put together our talking points and our bullet items.
Right.
Well, and I think that more broadly, also going back to kind of what we were talking about with approaching the Lions Club and soliciting, you know, involvement in that community or within the other committees as it pertains to getting involved, I think that we, all of that ties in together, that we do that as a committee and have our talking points when we approach.
Yeah.
That way, our request for is a branded open space, you know, they always know what to expect when we approach them. This is what open space wants, this is what they need, this is what we'll give them. And we build that reputation with our in-kind donors so that annually we can start to get this stuff going repeatedly. So that our talking points become known points at that point. We don't have to advertise, we just have to keep in action. Does that make sense, Mr.? I'm sorry, I don't mean to single anybody out.
Does to me.
Okay.
Yes.
But I want some discussion on that too, because I don't want to like take that conversation, because the point is these talking points have to be a collective body of all of us.
Are we talking like just more generally about the work that we're doing, or like specific to that action item 24 that we were discussing?
I think kind of both.
I want to make sure I'm
I
on the
think
same
kind
page.
of both. I think kind of both.
One of the things, correct me if I'm wrong, that is the privy of open space was to work with other committees in Dayton to establish a land trust.
Yeah.
And how that land trust, the land that we would work to acquire, would be used, or the target areas that we'd be looking to acquire land for falls under our privy. You know, if we're going to try to acquire land for conservation, there's a very defined way to handle that. We want to help acquire land to expand recreation. Park and Rec has a defined plan to do that. Some of the other areas don't, and that is something in the area of agriculture that it is a concern of mine. So, am I wrong? Land trust was.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and it, I mean, even in section 2 of our plan, it talks about what the efforts that we are jointly to be making with conservation specifically in that arena. I mean, it goes into some detail specific. The first is a continued its acquisition of land around Broad Cove. That is, so it's not beyond our scope to start thinking of these things. if we want to start thinking of these things.
And I think what it does is, you know, by using our planning, looking at our scope, if we're approaching, you know, Concom, if we're approaching planning, if we're approaching stormwater, if we're approaching Parks and Rec, and we're saying, these are our 5 bullets, these are our 5 bullets of where we're focusing going forward. Come to us, we'd like to have a meeting, bring your 5 bullets, bring your 4 bullets, whatever it is. Let's see what you have and what we have to these other committees where we collectively have an interest. So that we can find, maybe we'll find 2 things, maybe 3, that we can collectively work on together. Because again, we are technically a volunteer committee, we're not a statutory committee, so we're gonna need for some of the things that we wanna do, whether it's land trust or whatever, to work with some of these other committees. Because they're the statutory committees involved, so, and we also can't change, we don't wanna be changing our bullet and our direction, you know, every 6 months or year after year after year.
Agreed.
And we wanna have a standing, these are our 5 bullets going forward. They're gonna always need to be moderated perhaps to some extent, but that's where we start. And I think that's what I hear you saying a little bit, Robbie,
Yeah.
is so that we have something where people can define who we are
Right,
By the actions we've taken.
and where we're going.
and where we're going.
Yep.
And yes, you know, it may be that 2 of those 5 are gonna be a standalone for us in the end. And that's okay too. But at least if we can come to a consensus, you know, we may not get a consensus on any one of these with every one of these other committees, but maybe we will with 2.
We'll move in that direction.
And that's where we go, and then at least we know we're gonna work with Concom and water, and stormwater on a certain type of matter, a certain type of issue.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't involve Parks and Rec, and it doesn't involve planning, but that's okay too. And I think that's the purpose of coming together. At least that's how I envision this.
Did we start discussing this at one point, like coming up with a list of these goals?
For action item number 24, or?
did. Yes.
No, just more generally, it sounds like that's what you're talking about, Mr. Gale, right? Like
Yes,
having
we-
general goals for the committee,
Yes, we did start discussing this several months ago.
Right,
but maybe we kind of put it on hold until we finished going through the open space plan
Yeah,
items, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
maybe now that we've had a chance to go through everything, we can return to that.
Yeah, I think this is going back when you and I were both sort of first on it together. And I think we talked about that, but we knew we had to put it on hold to go down the road.
okay.
Yeah. I'll have to go back and look at notes.
Should we talk about a date, just take a look at that again? Or-
Number 24, is it like a motion on the floor to?
Well, the goals,
Yeah, maybe that needs to be like a future agenda topic.
Tell me, discuss, review, act, what would you wanna see for new business? Like, how would you want me to, put that on the agenda?
Like to establish the goals for our work together.
Establish, like, committee working goals?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Consistent with the mission.
Establish committee goals consistent. And would we like to see that on next agenda?
yes,
I think that's good, yeah. Good.
Alright. So we've got 23. We're gonna establish committee goals. Consistent, see?
I kind of like to clarify the term goals and in front of goals put broad-based. Because I don't want us to get too, my own concern is that if we get too defined,
Well, how about we, at that meeting, we just see what sticks to the wall.
Yeah.
Everybody come with your ideas.
yeah,
okay.
And we'll see what
See what
sticks.
sticks.
Yeah, we'll put anything that doesn't in the parking lot.
okay, all right.
Okay. Now,
And it kind of builds off like the prior, like from all these action items we've discussed, like we've already talked about some being priorities that we want to work on. Like,
Absolutely.
that would that would become a goal, maybe.
And if, you know, again, if anybody has, you know, along with what we just discussed, these goals, if we do want to have them broad, right, and they do file down too deeply, you know, go down the rabbit hole,
Yeah.
come prepared to receive and accept and give criticism that night too.
Makes sense.
You know, I mean, let's, because
Yeah.
we want
Discussion.
to be, right, I agree, I think I agree, we want to be broad.
Yeah.
We don't want to be pinned down, but we want to be specific
Yeah.
and smart about it, would be cover that.
Should we also want to look at short-term and long-term goals?
Long-term sustainability, yeah. But we can put these things on a list.
Yeah, well, I think that's good to come prepared with short and long term, so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, I think that's worth noting. Any other type?
Yep.
I mean, I know the acronym SMART, if anybody's familiar with that, SMART goals, specific, measured, and I haven't had to do that since, sorry, I haven't had to do that since
Attainable.
March. Attainable, realistic, and time-based,
Yeah,
I believe, is what that acronym stands for. So specific and measurable, so, you know, like a salesperson would say, I'm gonna sell 5,000 vacuums this month at $100 each. Yeah, that's a very specific goal, as opposed to, well, you know, I'm gonna go to town next weekend and I might see some people and hope I do well. That's
Yeah.
not, you know, it's not as specific, so that's where that comes from. So if we have, you know, specifics, and then we just don't come with feelings that night.
Okay.
That way we can just nail it down to at least you know, we can start the framework. How's that sound? All right.
So we're putting this on for December?
Yeah, we're gonna do
Okay.
committee goals, we'll come with ideas about short and long term, and then we're also gonna touch on and see if you had any luck with the Board of Selectmen's agenda,
Yeah.
Mr. Gill.
Yes, hopefully it'll be done by then.
Is there a motion on the table is there a motion on the floor to table number 24 to a future date?
December,
Yes,
Well, I'm sorry, number 24 is, so we're still on number 24, really. We need to figure out what we're doing with that one, which was the address environmental equity needs. I think we talked, we're gonna probably push that off a little bit, maybe, did we say March? Did I hear?
yeah.
February?
I think we were
March, I think we said
thinking
March,
we
okay, so maybe, is there,
Figured it out.
Mr. Chairman, I would
Yes, sir.
like to make a motion to table action item number 24 until the March meeting.
second.
is there any discussion? All in favor, please.
Jonathan, aye?
Leonard Hull, aye.
Danica Belknap, aye.
Robert Gears and I. All righty. Is there any new business on the table?
I think we're kind of getting enough business right now.
Yeah, working on the goals.
It's not really business, but we do need to know, like, everybody, since we're all together, there has been some technology mishaps in the background prior to the meetings that I've had to get the town office involved in, town hall involved in. It's led to a discussion as far as, is this the perfect home for our meeting? And if not, would we want to reschedule it to another night and another date? So we have a lot of options, everybody. We can end it there just out of respect for everybody's time tonight, because I know that's new information that everybody should be fairly new, but
Could you
no.
expand on that a little bit? What do you think?
Sure, so I mean, essentially, my thought is like with anybody who is, needs consistency, you go to a reliable source. The problem with the technology here is it's not always in the same spot it was the month before. So I don't know where to put the wires back to at the end, and I don't know where to get them from. So last month we were not recorded live, we worked off a telephone situation in person and did minutes that way. So I approached the town and said, hey, look, you know, I need some technology support. I drive in, I work in New Bedford, I depart from there and head this way when I come for the meeting. And unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of getting here early every month now. I did have that before, I don't have that anymore, so I needed some help. The response was that, you know, it's nice that COA lets us kind of be here to begin with. So I was like, okay, well then if that's the case, I don't want to be impeding on anybody's territory. We can meet in Old Town Hall that's outfitted with technology. audio visual, it's ready to go, it's just a flip of the switch scenario, maybe move a wire. But in this case here it's different every time. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 devices I can count just sitting here, plus the television, and the wireless stuff. So, being outfitted and set up for success out the gate is where I'm trying to get to that. To expand on that real quick, recognize you 1 second, Mr. Hole.
Yeah.
Is that I know we need to have an ADA compliant facility within the town of Dayton. So my thoughts are either Old Town Hall, the police station community room, or Bristol Aggie also might have meeting space. Those are just thoughts. I've talked to Town Hall, I told them that I was gonna bring that to the committee, it's nothing I'm gonna do on my own. I don't wanna do it on it, it's not anything I even think I can do. The point is the option is Old Town Hall, 3rd Mondays of the month, same time slot, or we stay here and somebody has to come each week early to make sure that technology is set. I mean, I can trade it off every once in a while, but I can't do it every month like I was. My employer's like, you gotta work, we're paying you to work here. So,
So when is the Old Town Hall available?
3rd Monday of each month at same time slot,
Um,
Oh, one.
3rd Monday.
I prefer there.
prefer Old Town Hall.
Yes, because I don't think the technology at the police station is even at the power of here.
Mr. Chairman, do you know, would you just need to have somebody meet you at Old Town Hall, perhaps Dave Marvel or somebody, and show you how to use the technology over there?
It's not an issue of knowing it, it's a timing issue. I can't be here early enough to do it each week. I just simply,
So-
I'm literally, I have to get here, get the key, open this door, and town hall is closing at 5:30 by the time I get there.
And what about, so if we met at Old Town Hall, does that change anything for you?
I need somebody to be here prior to 5:30.
So you would need.
10 till, and here's the thing is, even with being set up and arriving on time like I did last month,
Yeah,
we still had a technology failure and couldn't log everybody in. So to expand on that, we don't need to be live on Zoom. Or I mean, we don't need to record in on Zoom, that's not a requirement in the town, it's a luxury.
What about the keys, sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, no, so, yeah, no, that's finished off, yeah.
What about the key situation, like, just,
So the key situation, that's why I go to the town hall at 5:30, I get the key from either Leanne or
okay.
Karen, they issue it to
so
me.
you have time to do that, but,
Yes.
okay.
So I can trade off one or the other. If this door is already unlocked for me, but they don't leave it unlocked because they're gone.
Right,
And I assume it would be the same for Old Town Hall too, where you would still need to get a key to get into the building.
yeah, and the other.
Still need to get the key, but at that point, the technology, as I understand it, is either moving one wire to the other or flipping the switch.
right.
It's
a lot
consistent every
easier-
time.
It's a lot easier at Old Town Hall than here, lot less.
Would it
wires.
also help if I know lately we've been using our time right up until the end.
Yeah.
But would it help you in terms of timing and setup if instead of meeting at 5:30, we met it from 5:45 to 7? I know that's a little bit of a tired schedule.
So that would help me immensely, and then that would solve that problem for the committee, because that 15, because what it is I get here and I mean, I assume, setting up the table is the first thing I've got to do, but then it's been the door.
Yeah.
And before that, it wasn't that door, it was the other door. And then, so it's like, I don't, and I didn't mind, we've shared the conversation, I never minded showing up early and doing it. It's just, we're so busy at work right now, my employer's like, "Oh, I need you here, we're short-staffed, so they really need me."
Yeah.
It's, and I was kind of coming and going a little freely.
And other people have keys to that.
I mean, anybody in town, if they can swing by and just pop that door for us,
Right.
that's fine.
Okay.
But it's a matter of swinging by town hall, getting out of the car, going out
Right.
there.
Well,
If one of them is on the phone, I gotta wait till that call's done.
So the-
You know what I mean? So, and it's no fault of anybody, it's a domino effect.
But I
But
think also, like, let's not take advantage of the fact that you've been taking that on every week. Like, I can make a conscious effort to try to get here earlier, more often, and like, again, like, I can't guarantee it every time,
Right,
can't
right.
guarantee it every time, but we can at
So I
least
think between
coordinate.
the four of us,
Yeah, just try to
And
show
Mr.
up
Gale
a
can
little earlier
supervise.
to kind of.
Appreciate it.
absolutely.
But what we can do, potentially, for example, is we could each time designate one of us to find out, if we need to get the key to Old Town Hall and get it. And if we start at 5:45, but one of us knows we're gonna have the key to be able to let you in by 5:30.
I mean, 5:45 is the magic number, guys, I can,
Yeah.
cause I get
I'm happy to
here.
start later, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
I think we
can leave New Bedford at 4:45, that's a non-issue,
I think that we should do that then.
okay?
I'm for that.
Cause that's
And-
that hour that I was
Yeah.
leaving at 4:30 prior, and they're just like, we've gotta have you at
And
this point.
we know that town hall closes at 5:30, so if we need to get a key or do something, we can make arrangements for that.
Okay,
Absolutely, okay, so then, yeah, so I guess we have to get if I'm here at 5:45, yeah, town hall would have to have this door propped open for us, that's
So do we
essentially.
wanna meet here, or do we wanna meet at Old Town Hall?
Oh, wait,
Old Town
well, it would be
Hall.
Old Town Hall.
Right.
Third Monday at 5:45?
5:45.
Okay, so then we don't have the technology, we don't even have to set up tables at that point, right?
Right. It's all.
We have to be able to log into technology there.
We just have the technology
That's
piece,
not
and
how-
I can do that in 50, that piece is, if it's just that one piece,
Right.
that's easy.
If nobody
It's-
plays with any of the wires, it should be push, and you're
Leave it the way
good.
Laura left it,
Right,
leave it the way Laura left it.
So where do we wanna meet, Old Town Hall?
yes,
So, yeah, so,
at 5:45,
And if you do need, in all seriousness, if you do need just to feel comfortable the first time or so, I can connect you with Dave Marble to meet you over there at a time that works for both of you, just to show you what's what with buttons and various things.
actually, Leanne and Karen also volunteered, I believe they know how to do
Yeah,
that
Karen's
portion.
very good at that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll accept anybody's help,
Take care,
yeah,
take
and I
care.
haven't met David Marble yet, so that'd be nice.
Okay,
He's actually a neighbor.
He's the cable guy.
He lives right around the block from me.
Okay,
you are aware there are departments downstairs that have the ability to let you in. And conservation often works late.
except they close at 5:30 and sometimes they're not there at the end of the day. So I wouldn't count on
Right,
that.
But I
You've got
would be
more
here by
options.
5:30, because I
You have
can leave
more
New Bedford at
options.
4:45.
you have more options here than you do, I
And
mean,
we'll only have
all day.
technology to
Yeah.
log into at that point.
So if we do that, is this something where we would start in December and you need to get back to Leanne and let her know for scheduling?
Yeah, let's do that, let me get back with Leanne and Karen and let them know that we've talked to this committee,
Okay.
the third Monday.
Okay,
What's the third Monday in,
So the
So we're
third
gonna keep our,
Monday,
we're going to keep our December meeting as is, and
Yeah.
then in January.
in January?
yeah, and I apologize, I mean,
Yeah.
I'd definitely be willing to entertain, if somebody wanted to go through the process of changing the set next meeting date
Mhm.
to the third Monday, if that's fine.
okay,
Or if we wanna leave it TBD dependent upon what we
The-
discover from the Board of Selectmen.
The only thing.
I mean, the Board of Selectmen's on.
The only question I have in terms of the date, whether it's December or January, is that I'm sure, for me at least, it's very, very likely third Monday in December, I will be out west, so I would be joining by Zoom. If it's physically the first, like we meet, the first week in December,
Yeah, maybe we stick
Then I
with the
will be
first
here.
week of the month, that's a good one.
physically.
And actually, that third Monday is, I do have a commitment anyway, so let's stick
So
with
let's
the
start with
motion.
January.
Yeah, let's stick with what we've done.
okay,
We'll start with January.
we're starting, Jim.
Let's start in January. If there is an issue with that date, starting in January, I will let us know in December. How's that sound?
Great.
Okay.
The third Monday in January is Martin Luther King Day, holiday.
Well, then
I
we'll
don't
see
know
y'all in
if that impacts
February.
anyone.
Well, then I would have to ask the question if the fourth Monday or the second Monday
No,
is
the
available.
fourth, that's DDIC.
I mean, the biggest thing for Monday, for Martin Luther King Day, is that technically the town offices are closed.
It is
But
GIC, huh?
If we have a key,
And it's
we
zoning
could still
board.
meet.
We could still
But
meet.
you would have to get the key ahead of time.
Yeah.
You'd have to post everything ahead of
Yeah.
time.
We can work on that.
I guess one thing too, like a couple times we've had to reschedule, postpone meetings, so if we were switching to Old Town Hall, we would run into, like, that would be an issue where we wouldn't be able to like just switch to a
Well-
different Monday.
I'm looking at the second Monday of the month. It doesn't look like there's anything slated for this month. Let me look at the second Monday, I'm sorry, for next month. I don't see anything on the second Monday, so maybe our plan B, if the third is a federal holiday, because that might happen again. That could
The
happen,
second one.
but won't happen. in
Actually,
Memorial
the
Day.
third Monday would happen quite often, because then in February, you have President's Day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
I mean,
then
if
other
the
months.
second Monday is free,
Yeah.
do we wanna do the second Monday? Cause I have like a standing night meeting on the third week of the, like the third Wednesday of the month, so
I don't even know when
then I don't have 2 nights in 1 week.
Right.
Second Monday,
So
January.
if we wanna stick with the second Monday,
I'm gonna, you know what, let's try for the second Monday first.
Let's see if it sticks. Okay,
Yeah,
all right. All right, so,
starting in January if we can.
so shall we, do we wanna make, did you get good notes on all that discussion, or do we wanna make a motion just to have the record reflect that we're gonna approach town hall for a, you know what I mean?
I mean, I don't think we need a motion for it.
No,
so, well, the motion would be to change our normal meeting time to the second Monday of the month from 5:45 to 7 PM and host it at Old Town Hall, beginning with our January meeting.
starting the
So
second.
moved. I like that.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Jonathan, I,
Do we, who
Leonard Howell,
seconded?
aye.
Do we have a second?
yes, I did, I said so.
You moved?
Oh, so I made the motion, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
congratulations. Sorry, it just sounded good, I didn't wanna, you know,
But you did. How far did we get? Did we, all four voted?
I didn't vote.
Okay, so I think, so we said Jonathan Gale.
yes, Jonathan, I.
Leonard Hull, aye.
Danica Belknap, aye.
And Robert Gears and I. All right, so that will be that. Any public input? I don't see anybody online. All right, next up, meeting minutes from our previous regular meetings. We have the approval of the minutes from August 7th.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of August 7th, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Jonathan, I.
Leonard Hull, aye.
Danica Belknap, aye.
Robert Gears and I.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of September 18th, 2024.
Second,
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Jonathan, I.
Leonard Hull, aye.
Danica Belknap, aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of October 23rd, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Jonathan, I.
Leonard Hull, aye.
Danica Belknap, aye.
Robert Gears and I. Thank you, everybody. It has come to that time. Is there a motion on the floor?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Yes, sir. Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion tonight? Thank you, everybody. All in favor?
Jonathan, I.
Leonard Hull, aye.
Danica Belknap, aye.
Robert Gears and I.
Thank you.
Thank you.